So the whole reason why we did this was to be able to reminisce about those amazing 11 years. So this opportunity to come and sit down with you guys 30 years later and say thank you is,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You guys are, without the two of you, there wouldn't have been a Cheers. Without Woody, we'd have gone 5 years and out. Well, 3 years.
3 years and
been
out.
done. He saved our asses.
Yeah, that's kind of you, but you'd have kept going regardless. That show's just too good. It's too genius. The writing, extraordinary.
Tell me about the casting of Woody. How you first met Woody, what your impressions were, and all of the above.
Well, the interesting thing is we had actually named the character Woody. But before we even read an actor, we named him Woody.
Before we'd ever heard of
the character
of Woody. In fact, nobody had ever heard of Woody at that point.
Anyway, we said we want kind of a country bumpkin kind of guy, somebody from Iowa, Ohio, farm boy, and here's the big city of Boston. So he's a little naive. He needs to learn things, and we read a guy that was right on the money, and I can't remember his name.
So his name was John.
It was like John Piltzer. John something.
I think I haven't start with a P.
And he was, elated, and then our casting director, Steve Kozak, said, "I know you think you've got your man, but I just saw something. I think there's somebody you might want to look at, if not for this, for something else." So he said, "Sure, we'll do that."
Meantime, this John had gone out and bought a car and rented it.
Got married.
And he's now listening. He's listening 40 years later going.
Right.
He's in AA now.
And
so we read Woody, and we said we should, we were very interested, and we had you come in.
For the second read, or was that the first read?
It was the first.
Right
after we'd read Woody ourselves, we said, have Ted come in.
We always wanted to do that whenever we could on Cheers, as you know, read actors together, audition actors together to see the chemistry, not just how good they are by themselves, but how they interrelate.
And I think it's good for Woody to hear that I was all in favor of him. If you could say that so he could hear it.
You were what?
Oh, for crying out loud.
He said,
fought like hell. We had
no effing way. No.
He's too young. He's too cool. Get him out of my sight.
I remember very well. You said, "I know you think you've got your guy, but this guy's more interesting." And I said, okay. So we
brought a little something more to the part, a lot more.
And the other guy, as I said, was kind of right on the money, but Woody was not exactly. He was the part, everything we wanted in the part, but a little more, and
he's a dangerous motherfucker.
There was an element of danger. Yeah,
there is some just in the
crazy as hell. It's interesting.
Between the lines,
we lost three major characters on Cheers. Three major characters. We lost Nick Colasano, Coach. We replaced him with Woody. Step in the right direction. We lost Shelley and got Kirsty.
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
I don't know. You're out there.
I was thinking too.
But
hold it. So tell me about, because that seemed to me almost insurmountable when Shelley was leaving after.
A lot of.
I'd been there 2 years. It was the 5th year.
Right.
She did the 5th year, and then she was leaving. And tell me what your mindset was like.
Panic, pure panic.
There were some critics that said when Shelley walks out the door, that's the end of Cheers. And we had to sort of live with that because that was this element of the show. A main element of the show was the Sam Diane courtship and battle. But we only, Shelley just signed on for 5 years anyway. Her contract was up. It didn't like she said, "I'm out of here." She did say, "I'm out of here," but she was allowed to do that. She was having a certain amount of success in film and thought she had a career in film. So we can't fight that. But with one thing we decided to do, let's not just try and fill in Sam's life with another lady. Let's make it, maybe if there was a way to make get a woman that he was at odds with, like a superior, like somebody who works for the company that owns Cheers. So Sam has to kind of report to her, and she needs to be attractive and everything. And so we read a couple later, but Kirsty was right. We went and saw Cabin on Hot Tin Roof at the Almonson Theater, and Kirsty was in that. And I thought, wow, interesting as hell, but I don't know how funny she can be. But then we decided, well, she doesn't have to be that funny because all the other characters around her are funny. So she can, and she's an actress. She's a very good actress. And there's something, she's obviously very sexy and interesting to watch. But it came around that she could be funny too. She was, I'll forget, she was a really good drunk.
And also a woman who could play desperation, on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and be moving and still be funny.
In fact, a nervous breakdown, not the verge. She would go all the way.
Yes.
Way over
she was a great find.
I watched the other day, Lorne Michaels sent me this clip from, there was that one Cheers where we all, or not Cheers, SNL where we all showed up and surprised her, or maybe she already knew, I forget. But then there was another one that I hadn't seen, and it was where all these guys from the cast were pretending to be our characters coming. But anyway, when she was talking about Cheers and missing everybody, the emotional depth and range. This is an SNL monologue. I was so astounded by her ability. I'm not astounded. It just, I hadn't seen her in a while, and it just was like, oh my God, I forgot how well she can go there.
Wow,
how deep she can go.
God, I would love to see that SNL.
It is so good.
I'm glad we're talking about Kirsty, because it's just, it's been a while since she passed away, but it was so out of the blue and so startling, and to lose somebody who you spent so much time laughing and giggling and admiring and hanging, and so 3 cheers to Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, one of the things she brought to the show too, above and beyond her performance, was just she was a great person to have around. She was she was a great broad. She was hung with the guys and got drunk and carried on. It was
I can't.
So fun.
Yeah,
I can't remember
of energy
who said that she was like a biker chick from hell. But remember, she would have all of us over, the entire crew and cast and writer, everybody to her house for either Easter or something, and there'd be animals all over her property, and kids loved going out and hanging with her.
Some of those animals, I still don't know what those were.
Illegal.
And for good reason. Yeah. I still got a rash from one of them.
Can we back up? Because while we're on the subject of ladies, and we'll get to Rhea in a minute, but Shelley Long, I've said it, you all, I know I've said it in print, but Shelley really gave the first year or 2 or 3 the boost that Cheers needed, because she landed into her part feet first on the pilot and was astounding and unlike any other character we've seen since maybe, I Love Lucy or something.
We said often that we're not sure that Cheers would have survived without Shelley's in that first season, because she was so strong and so confident, knew exactly who the character was and who she was. And I think all of the rest of you were finding your way a little bit.
Kiss my ass, That's so rude.
Well, you had to learn.
True.
You had to learn how to throw a baseball, Ted.
I had to learn so much, but this is pre Woody. Woody came in full fledged too, but I was.
Woody came. Yeah, it was pretty honest. Right from the beginning.
Yeah. I can't remember. Did you leap over the bar in the first episode? Was that? Or
Remember Jimmy asked, "You think you could jump over?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." But I just feel like we've gotten a little ahead of the game here because I wanted to get back to when you guys were working on Taxi together, right? And obviously Jimmy was there, and just how things came about, like how the first idea came and everything.
For Cheers.
Yeah. How you and Jimmy Burrows hooked up to get there.
Well, we were working with Jimmy going back to the MTM days. So by the time we got to Cheers, we'd had 6 or 7 years together. We were not a partnership at MTM, but we did happen to work on a lot of shows together. He was doing a lot of shows at MTM, hopping around a little bit. And we were on Phyllis and then the Bob Newhart show. And we just hooked up and we hit it off right away. We came into the business about the same time, so we kind of were the new kids in the organization, and it kind of grew up together, the three of us.
And then somebody gave you a deal to develop something, and that
became Cheers. Yeah, we went to Taxi. They brought us over from MTM to do Taxi, and we were producing, and he was directing. We did all of those shows for 4 years together. So we had it worked out the partnership.
We got along, and we were united. We had a executive producer that was very talented, but not all that easy to deal with, and so that kind of bonded us.
Was his name Ed or Jim?
Yes. So we were united, and we had the same agent, and we won Emmys for writing, and the show, of course, won Emmys, and so our agent said, "Why don't you form a partnership?" And we said, "Okay," and we formed the partnership and announced that we were leaving and to do our own show. And of course, they tried to talk us out of it, but they understood. They understood that we would never be the runners, the ultimate voices on Taxi. We wanted our own show,
right?
And so we learned a lot from Taxi. Besides learning how to deal with people,
all sorts of people.
So we don't want to be in nothing like a garage, because the garage was dirty and smoky, and you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in a garage. So where do you want to be?
Where do we
want to be? In a bar, and so we got bar. New York had been used as a location city by everybody. Thought San Francisco, Eastern's better. So somebody brought up Boston. I, at that point, hadn't been to Boston, and when I first went and saw it, I thought, "Oh God, yes, this is the place." So
actually, we wrote the first script before we'd been to Boston.
With this
kind of presumptuous,
yes.
Go.
But
and before we'd ever been in a bar too, so we were just using our imagination.
So we took care of that one strip, right? So we had a very good casting director, and we looked through a lot of people, and we had time. We had time. There was no rush put on us. It was our show.
Interestingly, the reason we had so much time is there was a writer's strike.
Yeah.
Just as we were ready to go on the show, the writers went out, so we could do nothing. The business was at a halt, so all we had to do was sit around and cast day after day after day, and all the actors were available because all of their stuff was closed down. Nobody had work. We read everybody for all these parts, and some of them 2 or 3 times. And it was Steve Kolzak would just not let up on us. He says, I've got 3 more people. So it was. I think that's one of the secrets of Cheers' success is that we had that luxury.
You also, though, knew Rhea Perlman from both Taxi and I think a play that she was in or something. So she was one of the first people.
Right.
Mainly Taxi. She was married to Danny.
Yeah.
And we knew them socially and knew they were friends.
So you always knew that she would be.
Well, we wrote it for her.
Yeah.
That's the only part that we wrote for an actor. And we still read people. Stevie just said, just to make sure you got the right choice. Read a black actress, I remember. That was an interesting way to go with Carla. Would have been. But that's everybody else we wrote the part without any specific person in mind.
Everybody kept saying Shelley Long. You got to go see Shelley Long. And she wouldn't read. So
she wouldn't?
At first.
Forever she wouldn't.
No, she wouldn't read.
I
don't know why she wouldn't read.
Well, she didn't want to do a TV series. I think she wanted to go right into movies.
But
at that point, what had she done?
It's a good question.
That's a really good question, and I don't think anything major.
She gets rebuttal time, man. So just
no, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think we. No, we didn't. When she walked in, she was a new entity to us. She finally agreed to come in. She wouldn't even come in and say hi.
But as soon as she read, oh God.
Did even her reading come out full blown?
Yeah. It was there. She got the character. And
so you knew right away.
Right away, yeah. We were still doing due diligence. I mean, we were still looking at other actresses and did an audition, as you know, with
three different couples.
Yeah. It was actually, as it turned out, it was Ted and Shelley, but I don't think we manipulated that in any way.
Maybe Steve Kolzak, our casting, I think he was pushing for that. I think he may have manipulated that. Yeah.
But we weren't actually sure ourselves until after we did that with the three couples. We all went back to the office and we said, "What do you think?" And we all said, "Well, there's no question."
Well, I have Joel Thurm's account of that, which we'll get to. Woody, we interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I mean, like, you didn't talk much about how you ended up casting Mr. Danson. So I want to hear how that all came about.
Let me go on record first, then you can rebuttal here. I was doing Taxi. Just out of the blue, somebody fell through, and I got to play this hairdresser on Taxi. And then Jimmy, who I'd met for an audition of True West, was that the name? No, not True West, the Best of the West.
Best of the West.
And didn't get the part, but he remembered me. So you guys were the beginning stages of casting, and you invited me to come during a lunch hour of shooting the episode of Taxi. And that was the first meeting, and within a couple days, another meeting. And at the end of the second meeting, you said, "Well, don't take any other work before you check with us." And I went, so does that mean I've got the part? And you went, no, but just check with us.
Not at all.
First. And then literally there was a back door to where your office, and there was a front door. I went out the back door, and up the stairs was a line of every actor,
ever lived,
walking up the door and
Francis X. Bushman.
Okay. All right. Your turn.
Well, there's two things I remember. The first time your name was ever mentioned to us was Bob Broder, our agent.
Oh, really? Thank you, Bob.
He came in one day and said he had just seen Body Heat. And he said, "You should look at that guy that was dancing."
Yeah.
Or he said that guy dancing. Yeah. Also, the one thing I remember from that period is we had one of the executive producers on Taxi. You played a gay character, and one of our executive producers was convinced you were gay.
Yeah.
Positive you were gay. And we said, "Well, he's acting, playing a part." He said, "No." I just thought it was funny that somebody who's been in the business that long couldn't believe that someone could act.
I hadn't made up my mind.
Have you now?
Anyhow, when you went back after we did come down, there were two other actors and actresses sets and on the stage, and we did audition for the network and the producers and writers and everybody. And then you said you went back to talk about the casting choice. I heard that, oh hell, here goes my brain. Mary Tyler Moore's husband?
Grant Tinker.
Grant, who was the head of NBC at that point?
He was, yeah. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
He wasn't in favor of me, according to Joel Thurm, who was the head of NBC casting at the time. In his book, he writes, his tell-all book, that, this is one of those stories that is really complimentary of me, but I'll keep going. Grant said, no. This other actor I won't mention is one of the best actors in America. How can you not take him? William Devane, who was one of the best actors. And we have to go with William Devane. And Joel Thurm said, no. You have to go with Ted because he's more fuckable. Was his quote. Thank you, Woody. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. These guys are sitting here looking at me like, whoa, first off, how misguided, and I can't believe you said that. So that you weren't
like,
part of that
I
room.
don't remember.
Joel Thurm never used that phrase when he was talking casting with us for anybody.
I know.
How fuckable is
Grant Tinker said that?
No, Joel said it to Grant, and Grant was so shocked that I think he just decided to give up.
That's a real surprise because Grant never said anything to us.
Well, I can edit this stupid story out. Trust me.
No, I'm not saying that it's not true.
Keep it in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, the great thing about Grant was he never interfered with us.
Yeah.
As a studio, even when our ratings were in the dumper, I remember, I think it was the week that we came in dead last in the ratings.
Yeah.
We went over to NBC and Grant, walking down the hall, and Grant came out of his office and said, "Don't change anything."
Yeah.
Just, we were stunned.
I remember that.
Wow.
He was the best.
We as a cast were spoiled because you did never put that pressure, because you must have felt pressure from the ratings.
We felt pressure, but we were sort of bolstered by the reviews.
Yeah.
And the audience reception to the show. Before we were even on the air, we had to go down to shopping malls and pass out tickets to a show, come see a show filmed, blah, blah, blah. And
we didn't do that personally. Or did we get one? I think one week.
We were a week away from doing that. But anyway, remember our first audience were the Seabees.
Right.
The group of Seabees from the Naval Station. And we'd never had an audience except people that were friends of ours and people, friends of the actors. And the Seabees absolutely loved it. I mean, you got to know, they didn't even know these characters.
Right.
That was a big lift. And so we knew we were just sort of masturbating. There were people that liked what we were doing. And they understood the character. They understood the essence of the character. We showed them the first show. I mean, we shot the first show, I think, in front of the sea. We shot the first show with 3 different audiences, wasn't it? 2 different audiences. And got a great response. And the first I think, audience was with the Seabees. And then we had a industry audience, people that were agents. Right. And the response was pretty universal. And we felt a lot better. So when the ratings came out, and we said, good God. Wait, we're not on the first page, second page.
How can you get a negative rating?
Right.
Some people who didn't watch said, and they wouldn't watch, so they
because
subtract,
of the bar.
They subtract for that.
Yeah.
So, can I ask a question? You're saying you had already shot the show, and then you showed the finished product to these 2 audiences
that hadn't been on the air. So we would show when a new audience came in, we would show them the original episode, so that they would understand the story. Behind it.
I see. Wow.
And then when we got on the air, we didn't need to do that, obviously. But I guess we did for a while because nobody was watching at home. But
then, so it was when, it was at the point where it went into reruns that it started picking up steam.
Because a show called, I don't know if you've heard of it, Simon and Simon.
Ah.
Was a detective story on CBS, huge ratings. And those were the days where pretty much every show took the summer off. So when the summer came around and everybody had watched TV on Thursday night, had seen Simon and Simon, what's this? Cheers. And then it also helped that we won an Emmy for best series, best comedy.
And Shelley won.
And Shelley won.
And we won. And we won.
Oh, the writing won something? Well, that's
believe
weird.
It or not, slow year.
Yeah.
And Jimmy won. And we took a bunch, and that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And we got great reviews. Our reviews were so those things carried us a little bit.
I wanted to ask you guys because Cheers famously was the first sitcom to have everything be sequential, like in time, like one connected to the next to the next. What do you call that? Chronological or whatever.
Up until that time, everybody thought you have to have a show that every week they can tune in, and it's starting from ground zero. You can't assume that they've seen shows before that.
They have to stand alone.
And we sort of said, well, why not? Let's try it out. And it worked out. And now, of course, with streaming and stuff, they're all like that. You can't really tune into Breaking Bad in the third season and know what the hell's going on.
Here's what I was going to say.
We were the pioneers.
Let me go back and say, you reshot, if I remember correctly, the last scene of the pilot. You reshot a couple of times. You came back to it once we were already shooting other episodes, and you tweaked the ending just a little bit.
Really?
I don't recall that.
Okay, I'm wrong.
No.
Is that in Grant's book too?
The ending was at the very end, right before the credits, is Shelley is working as a waitress.
Right.
She came in the first scene with her fiance, Sumner Sloan.
Yeah.
And the last scene, she's a waitress in a place she'd put down disparagingly, and the people she thought were oafs. Right. So we might have shot that scene more than one time.
I could be. I know we did shoot scenes over again. We had that luxury of being able to come back and shoot an extra scene after we shot a episode.
Well, we did that. Throughout the series, we'd shoot the pickups, as they call them, and
when we had a turkey, we'd have to go back and try to. Or when you guys screwed up so badly.
Speaking of turkey, one of our favorite episodes, the Thanksgiving.
Oh, God,
episode.
yeah. There was no going back on that.
Oh,
that
no.
thing.
Oh, my God.
No reshoot.
and by then...
About a film, Jimmy.
And by then, we had certain people had opinions of other people and had, slight, not full-on grudges, but I'm gonna wing at this person.
Oh, really? Was there a little bit of
every once in a while?
In the throwing of the peas?
Oh, definitely.
No.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again.
Yeah. Everyone was aiming at Woody.
I get more compliments about the Thanksgiving show. I know the cast loved it.
It was a good vent.
But I think that
there
was some truth in that, because most Thanksgiving dinners take too long, and you get edgy, and
you get hungry,
and you get very hungry, and that kind of
violent.
Violent.
If given the opportunity, yes.
But we were going to be on. Story behind that is we were going to be on Thursday. We were on Thursdays, as you know. And they used to do, for the first few years, we would run a rerun on Thursday night because it's Thanksgiving, So the network that year said, why don't you do a Thanksgiving show? Thanksgiving show, it's not like a Christmas show. I mean, there's things you can do for Christmas, but Thanksgiving, what do you do? People just eat.
Yeah.
And wait a minute.
That's great.
We ran out of ideas.
Another show that was on Thanksgiving, because the network said, "Oh no, you can go on Thanksgiving. It's just another night. Nobody cares." We said, "Well, wait a minute. Nobody watches TV on thing." So we bowed to their greater wisdom, and the show Coach's Daughter. Remember that from the first season?
Of course.
We had to show that on Thanksgiving. I think one of the best Cheers episodes
Easily.
ever. Nobody saw it.
Yeah.
It had a negative rating, like I say. It was, and it was really a shame. We felt so bad about that. But then, in repeats, enough people saw it to realize what a gem that was. Nikki
Colasanto, who was Woody's predecessor, played the coach, and it was kind of a defining moment for his character. You saw he wasn't just the silly man who'd been beamed in the head by baseballs too often. He had such love for his daughter, who was thinking that she was plain and not beautiful. It was amazing scene.
Great performance.
And that kind of points to how Nikki was really kind of the heart and soul of the show, and And when he passed away, I think a lot of us also felt in that moment, what do we do now that we've lost this center to the show as far as the heart goes? And once again, singing your praises, Woody, you came in, just blasting with both barrels and became beloved within, an episode or two. People just immediately embraced your character because of the writing and because of you. But that was pretty amazing to replace Nikki.
I thought it was a great touch, and then, not to sing the praises of the writing too much, this wasn't my idea, or maybe it was, but I think it helped a great deal that Woody came in having been in contact with the coach. Remember, they had exchanged letters, and he was really anxious to meet Coach. And then when he heard he had passed away, Woody was really broken down about it, which the audience went right to Woody at that moment, and cemented the him taking over the coach's spot.
Right. And then once he leapt over the bar effortlessly, and I couldn't and had to crawl over it, they really loved him.
That's what we need.
Well, we need to keep talking trash about people. George Wendt. Tell us about how, his casting and all of that.
We worked with George on Taxi. He'd done an appearance on Taxi. We really liked him, and thought he looked like a barfly. He looked like somebody that hang out in the bar. So
actually, he did the very first script we ever wrote, that MASH. He was in that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he played the guy who comes to pick up the bodies. He was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, I interrupted, but yeah. So we go back a way.
I didn't know you guys wrote on MASH.
Just a couple
episodes.
Couple of episodes. Yeah.
Wow.
Before we went on to MTM.
That was our first job. We got a MASH assignment, and
yeah, we're old, Woody. That
was the Korean War, wasn't it, fellas?
It wasn't during the Korean War.
Okay, so you thought of him and wrote towards him, or no?
No, I interrupted Glenn. We didn't write with him in mind.
No, we didn't. But somebody brought him up. But remember, he was committed to another series.
Oh, that's right. We had him on condition after the pilot.
Right. And so we had to read other people for that role. Yeah. And we were so heartened when the show he'd been on was not picked up. So we
But if it had been, if that show had been picked up by the network, we'd have lost George. I don't know.
Hey, the whole Norm, the whole bar, people shouting out Norm. What was the origin of that? How did that come about?
Well, we did that on the first episode, and people started to expect it. And that became, speaking as a writer, one of the hardest things about writing a Cheers script is coming up with, what's new, Norm?
Norm,
how you doing, Norm? I was live tweeting you, like I just ran over its dog,
Yeah. Do you have favorites? Can you remember?
They sound so casual and like you could come right off the top of your head, but every time we came to a Normism, everybody would put down the script and, okay, it's going to be half an hour.
No.
I remember it's a dog world, and I'm wearing, what was it?
I'm wearing milk bone underwear.
Wearing milk bone underwear.
Right.
Yeah.
That might be the most quoted joke.
Yeah.
In Cheers.
Yeah. We had him on. He's still Georgie, full-fledged.
Yeah, I know. George is George.
And George has that ability to go light or sad and dark, and he has all this ability to go anywhere you want it. Sorry, I'm now rambling, but that was the I think one of the great things about the casting, I will say, was you all as writers could go anywhere, which is not with your story, because that's not always true. But everyone in our cast, because of the way the character was written and because of the acting, you could go to them for a full story. You didn't have to avoid people.
Our casting director deserves so much credit. Directors, we had one, but we were really fortunate. The cast we had. I think it's close to as close to a flawless cast as I've seen.
All right, name names. Why did you say close to? Who were you thinking of when you said close to?
Well, I always have to have
I hate to use the
humility.
word perfect. Okay, it was perfect.
But we were always intent on casting, not just for the funny, but for the actor. There's somebody who can really act. And
Right.
I think a lot of comedies make the mistake of just, can they do a joke?
Yeah.
And we'll just keep throwing jokes at them. And no, we purposely wanted the chops, actors with the chops. And we're so blessed.
Do you remember George went stopping shooting because I can't remember what the setup was, Woody, but they were nervous or something, and he was sweating so much, and he took his shirt off. I mean, his sport coat off, and you guys had rigged
huge pits
that were like visibly dripping. But we had to stop shooting for the only time ever.
That's
the
true.
Laugh was
They
so
wouldn't
loud.
stop laughing.
Yeah.
Stop laughing.
We were a classy show. We're
Classy show.
I love the story when Johnny came in, and you guys, he kind of bombed. He was on with us, and we talked to him, but he kind of bombed the audition, and then he turns back and says, "You guys have a bar know-it-all."
That's
Do you
right.
remember that?
That's
I
right.
remember it very well. He actually came in and read for Norm, and that wouldn't have worked. And this is when we didn't know whether or not we were going to get George, so we were reading Let People. But he said, "Do you guys have a know-it-all in the bar?" What do you mean? And he said, "It's a guy that comes in, start of the evening, very prim proper. By the end of the evening, he's doing this and poking everybody in the chest and screaming and yelling and making that." So we played with that. Played with that a little.
And his flies open. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Great.
We played
Great
with
little
that.
touch.
Didn't remember that. But anyway,
You played with that in the audition, you mean? Or
no. We played with, when we were writing the character. We played with that's kind of a, a know-it-all. Who would be a know-it-all, and it would be somebody that knows a little bit about a lot of things, but not a lot about it. Little things. Anyway, he how about a mailman? Because they read magazines, they read the covers and the headlines.
right. Oh, that's great.
And so
Cover of every magazine.
minimum knowledge, but he thought he was an expert on everything because he'd heard about it. So that was Cliff Clavin.
And we thought we'd just use him for a few episodes here and there, like some of the other bar characters. But he was so funny that we eventually.
Oh, when I watch old episodes, Johnny can make me laugh harder than. It was so inane, so out of left field.
One of my favorite John Vitz was when he was selling shoes. Do you remember that?
He was directing that too, I think.
Oh,
Didn't
was
we?
he?
Yeah.
Right, he directed that.
Yeah.
That was a very funny show.
He was selling shoes, and he managed mail order shoes, and he managed to sell to every guy in the bar, just in case somebody hasn't seen the episode.
Okay.
And the shoes came in, and they were all excited and put them on, and then they noticed that they squeak. The shoes squeak. All of the shoes squeak, and so they turn into an ugly mob to try to chase Cliff, and they're squeaking though.
And we had
30
little
people squeaking.
handheld squeakers.
Oh, really?
So we could all control our squeaks.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Woody, were you there when the whole bar full of guys, I think to the theme of either Bonanza or the Magnificent Seven, we all sang that and galloped out because we were on some manly chase. Does this ring a bell at all?
Yeah, I remember that. We were going after the guy from the other bar, Gary or whatever.
Oh, Gary's.
Isn't
Yeah.
it something to do with that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think Kelsey was part of it by then. Anyway, let's talk trash about Kels.
Yeah.
He was brought in.
Another time you were only going to use him for a few episodes, right?
Correct.
And he was so good.
Right, exactly. We didn't realize what we had at that moment. So
You were looking for a device for the Sam, in a way, the Sam and Diane relationship.
Right.
yeah, interrupt that.
An opposite from Sam, pseudo-intellectual snob and
God, he was funny.
Full himself. Yeah, very funny.
Is funny. Sorry.
Yeah.
Still doing Frasier.
Yeah.
What year will this be of him doing that character?
Well, he was on, what year did he come on Cheers?
Second,
I mean, was it the second?
So
Yeah.
it's the third.
Third?
So it was
Which
8
would
years on
mean-
Cheers, 11 on Frasier, and now we got a new one going.
That's up there with Gunsmoke.
He is chasing down James Arness for sure.
I'm-
Yeah, I think we really we realized that we needed to bring Kelsey on was when we started to see the vulnerability in the character, because at first he was just this pompous,
Right.
successful psychologist, and he had Diane and everything was going great. But then when you started to see him breaking down, we realized there were levels to this
Yeah.
guy, and he could really play them all.
Oh, Kelsey Grammer is one of our most talented, I think. He could also you know, write music, play the piano, sing. He was always startlingly. He would also show up right up to the last second with the script, and he literally, truly did not know his lines. He was reading from the script, and it'd be like, oh, God, how's this going to work out? He's carrying the show. He has tons of lines, and he would kind of barely have it, and then turn around, audience comes, he'd step out, and he was like word perfect.
I'll tell you, one of the moments that really impressed me, it was a series of moments, was Kelsey. We were doing a rehearsal, and he had a line, and I said to him, I think that's going to work best if you hit this word. And he nodded and said, okay. So in the next rehearsal, next time through, he hit that line. The next time through, he hit another word. The next time, he hit another word. And then he hit another word the next time. And every time it was funny.
How long is that?
Oh,
So I just shut up.
yeah.
Left him alone. That was phenomenal. Shut my mouth.
And then when did you bring on B.B. Newworth to play his?
We had
Don't
seen.
remember the year.
We had seen. We were in New York. My late wife and I, and we'd been to a play, and we'd heard about this review called Upstairs at O'Neill's. The bar. The actor?
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name. Anyway, he had a bar, and they had a stage upstairs, and they had late night reviews, and we saw Baby Newworth that night for the first time. We couldn't take our eyes off of her.
Yeah.
I mean, she just has that deadpan look, and there's something about her that's just captivating. So when we came to a point on Cheers where we needed perhaps a love interest for Frasier, we thought, oh, we got to get her, because she was very funny.
Oh my God!
And
came in full blown. She was.
Yeah.
What was
That's
her
enough.
name? Sorry, character name.
Lilith,
Yeah.
the witch.
Perfect name.
But no, we've been so fortunate that, as I say, that every person we've lost has been replaced by someone equally good, if not better. I mean, we've just been very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
I think I count our casting directors and give them so much credit.
Yeah, every time we needed somebody, the actor walked through the door. It might not been the first person, but we've been on other shows where the person never comes in. You never find.
Right.
But we always had Woody walk in, and Woody walked in the door and sneezed, I think. Didn't you, Woody? Is that the first time we ever saw Woody?
That's right.
Opened the door, walked in.
No, I was blowing my nose.
Oh, walked in the door and blew his nose.
I didn't know. I didn't know I was walking through the door, and you guys were on the other side of it, because we'd already walked through another door, and
well, it was
I just
perfect.
was unaware.
It was perfect.
And you guys laughed.
It was the perfect entrance.
I don't know if you knew what was going on behind the scenes with Woody. When Woody arrived, he was 25, I think, Woody?
I just turned 24.
24, and
Wow.
we were all 37, George, John, me, and I don't know, Kelsey, I don't know how. Anyway, we and 37 is right around the time you realize you're no longer 25 and you don't have those physical capabilities. But we were determined to show this whippersnapper a thing or two. So we all love basketball. So we took him out to the basketball court, and he tore us apart, just whooped us. So we switched gears, and we did John, who has, sizably muscular legs, decided to do that leg wrestling thing. We lie on the ground and he cleaned John's clock, just whooped him. I then arm wrestled him, and I literally still have some bad tendonitis in my right arm because I didn't want to lose. So I held out longer than I should have because he cleaned my clock. So we took him to the chessboard, cleaned our clock. It was like, from that moment on, it was like any kind of vengeful trick or anything we could play. It was wasted on anybody if it wasn't played on Woody.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you know that was going on?
I definitely, we didn't at the time, but we've heard about the stories, definitely heard about it. And I think basketball was the first time we heard about Prez Prowess.
No, while you were doing all of that, we were up working.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Might have heard of that.
And you guys did actually work. So yeah, I remember Gary David Goldberg. He used to play basketball back there.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was the one who put up that basketball court.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how you got from, was it Henderson, Nevada, raised Mormon. Who left Henderson first, but what was that like growing up as a young teenager kind of thing?
Henderson is a well-known town now. A lot of Californians move there, in fact, retire there. So in those days, it was a very small town. It was built essentially during the Second World War as an industrial town, so it was a cheaper place to live than Las Vegas, its nearest neighbor. But I really liked growing up in Las Vegas. That was very good. In those days, they didn't have photo ID, so we could get somebody. There was a guy in our high school that could fake IDs, and you could present and get in the lounges late at night. And that's where I first saw Shecky Green and Don Rickles and people like that doing comedy, and I really liked. It turned me on a lot. I was the first to go because I'm the oldest. I went to school in Southern California, and yes, we were raised in the Mormon Church. I don't think our mother was devout and insisted on us going to at least 3 meetings every Sunday. And our father was
more if there had been any.
Yeah, if there had been any. If
there had been 12, we'd have.
Our father was also a Mormon, but he was not a good one. He smoked a little, drank a little, and
so you had some wiggle room.
We had some wiggle. Well, we had yin yang. We seen life from both sides now, and
they were not totally unlike Sam and Diane, our parents. Mother was a reader and constantly going to school and getting educated, and Dad was down having beers
with the guys.
Yeah, and loved sports. And
did your parents live long enough to see the success of Cheers? They
did, fortunately. Now, my mother lived to 77,
and it was thumbs up from your mother.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll know she still. I mean, up to her passing, talked about the night she met you in my office or Les's office. I don't know if you remember coming up, and this is when she was on the air a while, and she was introduced to you, and she still talked about that for.
He's so much better looking on screen.
Yeah.
Oh, that was her, right? That was her. Oh, good. So I met your mom. So my question about did she live long enough?
She did.
Way off there.
She did. Thanks.
Now, Teddy, this is an embarrassing, awkward moment. Now, oh fuck.
Do you remember their mom?
Not at all. But I don't remember anything. In my defense.
Okay, so who made that first move of I'm gonna write, I'm gonna be a writer, I'm gonna be funny?
I majored in literature in college, and I didn't specifically have an idea of being a writer, but I took a course in drama and got in a couple of plays, and I thought, wow, this is this is such a different style of writing than if you're writing a novel. And Les and I had he's 5 years younger than me. He had
Still am.
Still didn't show.
Kids.
We had the same tastes. And my first job was I was an advertiser and I was a copywriter in an advertising agency in Los Angeles. And Les was going to school still, and it was when I think the movie was Chinatown. Not that this is important, but we went to see Chinatown, Les and his wife and me, and we came back from Chinatown, which was it's a great movie. We think anyway. We talked about great writing, and we both agreed that we'd seen some really good television shows like Mary Tyler Moore, MASH, Bob Newhart. All of those shows were on the air about the same time, and we said, kind of, I don't know who said it first, but let's write for TV. How hard can it be? Famous last words. It was very hard. It was very hard to get in, to get an agent.
Yeah.
It took a long time, but we did eventually get an agent, and we both were
with a spec script or something.
Exactly, spec script.
For which show, do you know?
We wrote a spec MASH, a spec Mary, and we wrote a Newhart.
Yeah, but it was the Mary Tyler Moore show that really got our foot in the door.
But the first sale was MASH.
Right.
That was our first, actually got paid to do a show. And that was.
And then MTM called to put us on staff.
Right. We made him interested in being on staff, which was.
We'll think about it.
Because MTM was the place for TV comedy in those days, And
they said it was like going to Harvard Law School, going to MTM, working at MTM.
Boy, that's true. Working at Paramount had that same feeling of there were so many shows on at this half-hour comedies. And I think I remember, or at least this is what I've always said, but sometimes friends of yours who were writing on other shows, if any one of the shows had a real problem or issue, sometimes people from other shows writers would drop by and sit in the room for a while and work it. Is that?
That was true at MTM too.
Yeah.
People who were trying to break in the business wanted to go to Paramount.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go to MTM before that. And in fact, we got two producers, you know very well, Casey and Lee.
Yeah.
Were working on another show entirely. They were working on Jefferson's, I think. And they wrote a spec script for Cheers. We couldn't believe it. These guys are producers on another show. And it was, I think, the best spec script we ever got.
Well, as well it should be.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Amazing writers over the years. Ken Levine, wasn't he there in the beginning?
Yeah.
David Isaacs.
Yeah, Ken and David worked, it was the first year they were producers. Yeah. A lot of late nights with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. You were our upbringing in this business, and it was such a luxury privilege to be raised by your writing, your relationship to actors, your respect for actors, your respect for how important casts can be, and just the whole process was such a gift to us. I mean, we're sitting here, we're allowed to keep working because of Cheers, and can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
Woodrow.
It was to this day the greatest experience of my life. I really so appreciate you guys creating this show and letting me be in it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. I mean, good Lord. Thanks. That means a lot coming from you guys, but very much.
And it's such an incredible blessing for a writer to have a cast that you know they'll get it.
Yeah.
And if they can't bring it off, then there's something wrong with the writing, because you guys were just the ultimate cast.
Well, thank you.
And love you and miss you guys.
Thank you.
Miss you too. And it's kind of miraculous.
Cheers too.
Yeah. Horse walks into a bar. What? I said a horse. What?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, love you, Woody. Thank you for taking time to do
love
this.
You too. Great seeing you guys. And
Great seeing you, Woody.
Let's be in touch.
For sure.
And
for sure.
Big Island. And Glenn, I'd love to see you sometime too.
Anytime.
Great seeing you guys.
I live in Pebble Beach, and you're more than welcome anytime.
Oh, Pebble Beach. Okay.